Okay, so today I'm very happy to be with Natasha, and she will tell her story of awakening and all that is happening around this experience. Very happy to have you here. So thank you very much. And
Thank you. Thanks for hosting.
yeah, so actually, my first question, of course, is just talk a little bit about yourself. What are you doing right now? Where do you live? In which country you are, so that people get
Um,
a little bit.
yeah, yeah, I'm in Australia, South Australia, like as far down south as you can get, probably.
Mhm.
Um, I work as a freelance editor and moonlight in politics and publishing and all kinds of things.
Okay, nice. Family, kids.
No, I am single and fancy free.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So yeah, just maybe we start with the most important um, topic. So, how did the awakening happen for you? When was it? And yeah, how is it unfolding right now?
Yeah, it started about 8 years ago in probably three parts.
Mm.
Um, I'd had spiritual phenomena before, an NDE and some spiritual experiences, but the difference between seeing beyond the veil and going beyond the veil is epic. My awakening started when Kundalini light rose up from my base chakra and started making its way through. Maybe a week or so later, it got pulled up to my throat area, and I was told to go to bed. Um, and exactly as my head hit the pillow, I found myself in a different realm where nuclear white light was rising up below me, and it exploded through me and exploded me, and suddenly I was pure awareness, like not consciousness or light or energy, even just awareness able to move through the universe at light speed. I was joy. I was free. I could go anywhere, be anything, know anything. And yeah, it was just amazing. And it was nothing at all like anything I'd ever experienced. And it felt more real than anything I'd known in my 3D life.
Mm.
My mind and baggage were dumped. My identity was gone. I was in a pure state of creation and I did not return the same person. Um, a while after that, I found the mantra Om Namo Narayani, which means I surrender to the divine. And after a week, maybe, of saying that a few times a day, God, or whatever you want to call it, came as divine light and we merged. And that, blissful conscious contact and union lasted for quite a while.
Mm.
But the human nervous system can't really hold divine energy for that long when it's still crammed with 3D consciousness.
Yeah.
So, the transcendent phase has to end and the cleansing has to begin, unfortunately. Uh, I'm working through my programming now, still on the way to the final stage, which is integration, which I am very much looking forward to.
This is amazing. So, but how long did that first experience last?
Oh, wow. A, a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, but I
It
mean,
was,
you know that the moment you described when you hit the pillow and then it started. So how long was that experience?
oh, the initial experience was probably about 4 or 5 hours.
Wow,
Um, I
amazing.
just wasn't here. I completely left my body. Like it wasn't even astral, it was beyond that. It was indescribable, just pure awareness. And yeah, I
And
came back totally different.
Wow, and no fear at all at any stage of that experience.
Absolutely fear,
Yes. Oh,
because it was unlike anything I'd ever felt. I had a lot of fear, and that's what happens with a lot of spiritual initiations is that they will kind of force you to face fears and
mm,
to go beyond and go through any weird physical sensations that you're going through,
mhm.
any confronting feelings, like energetic feelings, like it can be very overwhelming. And it's
Yeah,
kind of a test to your surrender. Yeah. It's about how much you're going to surrender to the divine state that you really are.
this is
So
amazing.
yeah, I
Wow.
did have a lot of fear with letting go, but it only lasted a few seconds because I just knew that this was really important.
Yeah. It fascinates me because actually my experience is that uh, as soon as fear comes in, I come back. You know, the like
Same
the
with everybody. Yeah. It's yeah, it's the test.
mm,
Surrender, because all you're doing is surrendering to your true nature, but you don't know that at the time.
mhm,
It seems like this outside force is coming towards you or coming through you,
mm.
and we resist that, and like the ego really resists that because it knows like this is the end. It's-
I know. I know.
yeah,
I had a very, very strong ego dissolving experience just
yeah.
maybe a week ago, and it was very scary. But I came out of it with another huge gift, which is so much. I'm so grateful for life,
Mm,
and to yeah, to kind of being able to experience it slowly and integrating everything slowly here on this plane. So,
yeah.
yeah, it always has two sides, right?
Yes, exactly. Um, the hardest periods that you go through will have the most reward at the end because
Yeah.
it's the whole ego death thing is tough. It's
Uh,
no picnic, that's for sure. But, really, it's just the false ego that's being dissolved. Your
mm-hmm.
true ego is that pure state, that pure self that is infinite. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's, yeah, it helps to understand that when letting go of, there's so many layers of ego too that you have to let go of,
Mm-hmm.
identity, attachments. It's kind of endless. You think you're past it, but then you come up against a bunch of other walls that you have to break through.
Yeah, but so actually that was like the peak experience, right? But what was before? I mean, exactly to come to this stage, actually a lot of things happened before where already a lot of ego dissolving is happening, right? Like you
Yeah.
mentioned an ND experience.
Yeah, I had an NDE when I was about 22.
Mm,
Um, it was very brief. I just found myself suddenly in the same kind of nuclear white light
mhm,
that um, exploded me in my awakening.
mhm,
It was a bit softer, and there were like colored clouds, like it was very dreamy,
mhm,
um, and infinite. Like I could just feel the infinity about it. And I was part of the white light. I was the white light. I was in the white light. It was pure bliss and peace. And that's when I realized, oh, I'm not meant to be here. Like I've got to go. Like I knew I was dead, and so I felt like I was being sucked through a chute back to my body.
mhm.
And I've never felt so heavy or cold when I woke up. It was
Yeah.
um, yeah, I felt quite dead, and there was no breath in my body. And yeah, that changed me for quite a while. I My heart chakra opened. I
Mhm,
became capable of a lot more love. I reconciled with some people. I became obsessed with meditation and had really deep meditations and transcendent meditations that blew my mind. But, gradually life gets busy and, you know, the
Mm.
rat race rolls on. So I kind of lost all of that and came back to it years later. But I had experiences as a kid as well. I think I underwent Kundalini awakening then, or Kundalini activation, maybe, which is where, the energy activates for a while, kind of like after an NDE, maybe, and then it goes dormant again. So it doesn't
Yeah.
fully awaken.
What,
So,
what,
yeah.
so, and what do you think? What was that in childhood then? Did you feel something like physically already then, or?
Yeah, I had some incredible experiences as a little kid. Yeah, totally transcendent, like just popping out of my body, going anywhere I wanted.
Wow.
It was incredible because, I hadn't started school yet. I didn't have other younger, family members around, so I had free time to just be. And that's when Kundalini Shakti comes, is when, there's just no other distractions.
Mm.
And then I went to school and found out that I was insane. So um, I locked it all down again, I guess. I stopped believing in it. And yeah, but it never gave up on me. Thank goodness.
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. Amazing. So, but
Mm.
like, did you, when you think back, did you actively also do something? Like, did
Um,
did you actually hear about Kundalini before it started, or was it had
no,
to be researched, or?
I'd read vagaries about Kundalini, throughout my life because I've always been a seeker.
Mm-hmm.
And, but, it was so nebulous and ethereal and not really explained properly. Because, stuff was quite secretive back then. And so um, I probably triggered it just by meditating more often when it started about 8 years ago. I had a very persistent friend who insisted that we meditate together. And I thought, okay, well, why not? And yeah, it only took a few months before I started having amazing experiences. And then Kundalini awakened and just blew the top of my head right off. And yeah, I actually had, because I knew, I was aware that that was what was happening when it started, but I
Mm.
wasn't aware that all of the stuff that happened around it, because, I had a lot of mystic experiences before that. And then after that, with enlightenment and samadhi and various other states of higher consciousness. So I didn't really put it all together until recently, actually, because it was such a long phase of so many amazing things happening.
Mhm.
And I was randomly Googling something else when I found something about Kundalini. And it actually explained literally every single thing that I'd gone through,
Yeah.
um, since that awakening night. So I was so relieved to find out because, I was deep in the cleansing and we know how much fun that is. Which, so I had no idea what was going on
Oh my
until
God.
I found that. It was such a relief. And just finding out the information helped me really advance through the cleansing a lot faster. And because I guess I knew what was happening and I embraced it.
So what
And
are the cleansing experiences you have?
oh, goodness, where would I begin?
Like, but body movement or just internal?
Spontaneous careers,
Mm.
so much internal stuff. It's kind of like being plugged into a power socket, um, with the energy that moves through you in all these weird ways. Um, but that's kind of been the least of it. Um, for me, it's been the cleansing of my conditioning. Like it's like I can almost feel my nervous system being stripped every day
Yeah.
of, this attachment, that attachment. And it can be kind of wrenching and it can be really draining and grueling because you have to do so much work on yourself. It's inescapable. You're not allowed to get out of it.
Yeah.
And it is worth it. Yeah. The
Oh,
more you can get rid of all your baggage, the better,
yeah.
because that's what Kundalini is doing, is cleaning you out like a washing machine. Like,
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
all got to come out.
Yeah. What about, do you have like me? Actually, I have certain blockages which are really, really hard to go through.
Mm.
And right now, especially my right side is kind of like she's more active on the right side, which is a very strange feeling. So it's overactive here, and here it's kind of
Mm.
dormant. And then
Ah,
yeah, and I try to navigate her sometimes, which I heard I shouldn't, but it's difficult, when you have this strong, like she's pushing and pushing, then you have
yeah.
the feeling of, oh, come on, yeah, take over the
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
Do you have that as well, like certain areas with?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had so much pressure in my body at the beginning of the cleansing.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, so much pressure. And well, I think, is the divine side the left side the divine feminine and the left is
Uh-huh.
divine
Yeah.
masculine?
I
I
know.
think she went through one before the other, and yeah,
Ah,
all
yeah.
of those blockages being undone are, yeah, difficult. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I find, some people say don't force the energy and don't try to control it, because you can't, which is true. She's a wild force of nature, and there's nothing you can do about it. But at the same time, I've found there are lots of things you can do to help the process. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not controlling it, you're just making it easier for her. So
Yeah.
I've found, a lot of people talk about grounding, and that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Grounding in nature, sitting or lying on rocks or grass or sand
Yeah.
or against a tree is really useful. But I actually found the 478 breathing technique is the most useful thing,
Which one?
because it's 478.
Oh, you know what? Send me a link to that one as well. I
Yeah.
put it
It,
in. I will put it down in the video. A link to.
mm,
Yeah, it's always good to let people know what helps. Okay, good.
it's a lifesaver, and it's so easy. It's,
Uh,
because there's so many different breathwork techniques out there. Some work, some don't. Some actually make the energy worse.
mhm.
um, like they really stir it up and interfere with what Kundalini is trying to do. So,
Yeah.
but this technique is really quick and easy. You just inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 7,
Mhm.
and purse your lips and push the air out for 8. It's really that simple. You
Mhm.
do it 3 times, twice a day, or whenever Kundalini's surging or you're stressed. And yeah,
Mhm.
it basically switches your rational brain on, because in Kundalini you spend a lot of time in your emotional brain, because
Mhm.
that's where all the work's happening. She's dredging up, you know, everything in there. So
Yeah.
it helps just to be able to get through daily life. To
Mm.
do this technique, it will help you, use your logical mind, even if it's just for a few hours, just
Yeah.
so that you can get stuff done.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, nice. I will try it for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
And shadow work is really good too. That's good for unburdening a lot of stuff. Journaling in general, like free writing, is good to unburden the mind, but I find doing it as shadow work is more effective. I feel like that helped my evolution immensely,
Mhm.
because it's about, essentially we spend our lives running away from all the things we don't like about ourselves.
Mhm.
And Kundalini comes along and kicks down the door and says, "You have to deal with all of this stuff. Like, you're not getting out of it." So it helps to really just dive into it instead of running away. Like, go headlong into it, do shadow work, look at all the things you hate about yourself, all the things you don't like,
Mhm.
all of your fears. Um,
The suppressed needs, they are coming up strongly
yeah,
for me now. Like she's really
yeah,
she's a bit tired because I don't want to look at it, and
Yeah,
like,
no one does.
yeah, you have to
We're not.
rest.
Yeah.
And even to
we-
a point, like I tried so hard to do everything right, and like, okay, I don't want to be lonely, so yeah, I actually I am not lonely, I have a lot of friends, just stick with that. And then she comes like, no, you feel lonely. Look at it and be
Yeah.
honest, you feel lonely. And
Yeah.
until you haven't found the bottom of that loneliness, she's not going to yeah, become quiet about
Absolutely right. That's absolutely right. And whatever the emotion is, like anger, hate, rage,
mm, yeah,
sadness, grief, so much heavy, dark stuff comes up.
yeah,
And we don't want to feel that stuff
mm,
because it feels bad, it feels horrible. But, these feelings have been suppressed your whole life. You might find yourself dealing with an emotion that you had when you were 3 that, you had to suppress. So they stay in the body, like it stays in you until you deal with it.
mm-hmm, absolutely,
And Kundalini, yeah, she forces you to look in that dark mirror and say, I do feel this way. And, all of these things that I don't want to have in me are in me. And I have to deal with it and accept it and love it, like love it about myself, because all of these emotions are there for a reason. They all come from the divine. They're all there to help you survive. So ignoring them doesn't help anything.
yeah,
So facing them is really good. When you face that really ugly stuff, it's actually really freeing. Like
mhm.
that's why they call it liberation.
Yeah, and
It's
to not
love and
to
light.
not give up, but because really the problem is what I often see with myself, and of course also with other people, they do the shadow work and then they are upset because nothing changes. But shadow work is really, really deep. It's not like it's amazing how many times you shift the perspective in this shadow work until you come to the core. So
Mhm.
in in the end it's very freeing, but you have to stick to it and to get honest and
Mhm.
even more honest until, yeah,
Yeah,
there's this truth.
this horrible raw wound that you really didn't want to look at, but
Mm,
finally you're there and you can heal it.
yeah.
It's been crying out, for years and years for you to just give it some love. And but the mind, the subconscious, it's there to protect you from all this stuff. That's its job. So it
Hmm.
hides it all in layers and layers and levels, and so you have to strip and strip and strip.
Yeah, and you
And
can do
you
it
know
consciously, I mean, yeah.
mm,
So,
yeah.
but what about what is your deepest insights of the process so far? Like, especially, I'm of course very interested in your peak experiences. So people want to know, what does it mean when Natasha says I actually was in a different realm? What does it mean? Yeah, how does it feel? And especially exactly like at can you enjoy it because it's so different, or are you also afraid because you're still a bit in your 3D
Mm,
knowledge, or
yeah. Well, the conditioned mind resists absolutely everything, doesn't it? Like
mm,
it comes across anything new and it just doesn't want to deal, because it's comfy in everything it knows. So it is really hard to let go. But because I had experiences in the past where
mm-hmm,
I'd had some really challenging experiences where I'd felt after my NDE when I started meditating again, I had this experience of like I felt like I was suffocating. I was in meditation. I felt like I was suffocating, like I was drowning in this thick swamp.
mm-hmm,
It was dreadful feeling. I realized now I was probably sinking into deeper consciousness, like out of my body consciousness, but I didn't know anything about that then. And my heart rate went through the absolute roof. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. It
Mm.
was really hard to hold on to faith, in that moment. But I had a voice guiding me through saying, just keep going. And so I just kept going. And I found myself in 4 different states of consciousness at once. Like once it kind of reached crisis point, this drowning, suffocating, swamped feeling, and um, the palpitations. And suddenly I just popped out of my body in
Mm.
4 different places at once. Like it wasn't just astral, it was like on all these other levels. I was aware of, 4 or 5 different states at once. Um, I didn't understand what they all were at the time. I understood a bit more later on. One of them was a future self, one was an astral self, one was I don't even know what. And so that was incredibly jarring, like to, um, pop out of your body for a start and then find yourself in 4 different bodies. Like, how do you even like
That,
consolidate that in your conscious
yeah,
mind?
yeah.
So I'd had stuff like that happen before. So I knew that like the payoff, if you can get through that test, is can be huge. So, any resistance that I've come across later on, I've pushed through pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, that's the advice that I can give to anyone that goes through that. Obviously, you don't want to actually push yourself into a heart attack, but if you have someone guiding you, just go with it, because the body and the mind is going to resist whatever's happening because it's not familiar.
So
But
you would say that the threshold to come out the other side is to go, to go deep, which is a kind of drowning experience and the
mm,
palpation, and then
mm,
have to go through it, and then
hmm
it opens
it's
up.
kind of like breaking the sound barrier, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
you've got
Like
to have that
speed.
pressure. Yeah.
For me, it's like the experience of light speed, which you're not used to.
hmm
Get scared.
mm,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah, interesting.
Yeah. But once you pass the fear, it's just bliss. Like the
Hmm.
bliss and the joy and the freedom is absolutely indescribable.
Mm,
So yeah, it's worth pushing through.
nice. Wow.
Mm, mm.
Very fascinating to hear these experiences.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. I mean, everyone's experience is different too, and that's what's so fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Kundalini likes to tell a different story with everyone, I think, and
Mhm.
she's very creative.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm,
And still, what I find so wonderful is that everybody has a very different story, but the essence uh,
mm,
is the same.
mm, exactly.
It's for me, it's like she, the life force, she tells her story over and over again, but in different shapes and
Mm.
colors. So,
And she has her own language, which makes it challenging too. In that initial phase where I was in God consciousness, like it was very clear, it was crystal clear, because I guess, the Kundalini energy, when it first goes through you, it explodes, through you.
mm-hmm,
And, Shakti merges with Shiva, which is consciousness at the crown of your head. And so you have that experience of God consciousness. Well, I guess, some people do. And so it's very clear, like I had God guiding me every day, all the time,
mm-hmm.
um, without question. And our connection was absolutely crystal clear. And then it went away. And then,
Yeah.
Shakti
Hor-
really ramped up. And then Shakti starts talking in her language, and you have no idea what she's saying because It's primordial, you know, she's the creative force of the universe. Like
I
she's
love
together
it
with
how you
God. Like,
explain it. It's exactly what I feel as well. It's for me
yeah,
to understand
it,
Shakti, it's quite difficult.
it is. She's wild. She's
It's wild.
primitive. Like
Yeah,
she, you know, she doesn't care about your conditioning. She doesn't
exactly. It's
care about your
yours.
beliefs. Like she thinks it's hilarious. She's just
Mhm,
exploding all of this stuff, and you're losing your mind. And
mhm,
she's laughing.
mhm, mhm.
Because none of it matters
Yeah,
in the
so
end.
true. Wow,
And
wow, wow. I love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I'm learning to speak her language. A lot of it is symbolic as well.
Yeah, and
She
feeling.
talks different.
And feel
Yes.
you have to for me it's you have to go into feelings and then the insights arise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all about the feelings,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of the opposite of what you're told in a lot of the teachings, which is all about, you know, trying to transcend thoughts and feelings and just observe. That does not work in
So
Kundalini.
funny, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That was
there's no observing.
yeah.
There's no zooming out. There's no being, you know, the watcher. It just all dissolves. You have to be in your feelings. You
Ah,
become your feelings, and you realize that, you know, that's kind of what you are. That's what Shakti is. That's how she speaks.
so
You
good.
have to go deep into your feelings. And yeah, and that's where the good stuff is. That's where the transformation is.
Yes, and for me, it was also very useful to understand at a certain point that actually sometimes, like when I'm in meditation and there's a strong feeling coming up, maybe like sadness, and normally you try to rationalize it like, "Ah, but nothing happened right now that I shouldn't feel
It
sad."
happened like
And I
15 years ago.
understood maybe it's just her. It's maybe it's not even me. In the end, you know that
Mm,
it really is not you. It's just
mm,
sometimes it's just sadness, the feeling going through you. Just let it. And she comes with
mm.
teachings. All these feelings they come with teachings. Just
They
feel it
do.
and listen. And yeah,
Mm. That's an amazing insight, actually. That
yeah.
that's a light bulb moment for me because, you know, sometimes I think I've worked through something and then it comes back, you
Hmm.
know, from a different angle.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you could be spot on with, yeah. And also, you know, because there's layers to feelings as well. You think you've hit the bottom of a specific feeling, but
Mm.
they go so deep.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
yeah, when it can take it away, like it's the life force experiencing it. It
mm,
goes just through you right now. It makes
yeah,
it easier and also sometimes beautiful. It's like,
mm,
oh my God, this sadness. It's so deep and she's so tired and she's, like, yeah.
yeah.
So,
I,
mm,
I think too, because we spend our lives suppressing our feelings and running away from them.
yeah.
And Kundalini gives you no choice but to become heart centered, like
Mm,
to shift out of that mind centered state that we're trained to live in. Um, you have to become heart centered if you're, you know, really going to become self realized.
mhm,
And, you know, it's if being heart centered means feeling it all. You've got to feel everything and every layer of everything.
yeah.
So it's really about a really deep dive into emotion and navigating emotions, processing them, dealing with them, but also accepting them
Yeah.
because I feel like, particularly in the West, we're so obsessed with control. Like, it's all about controlling everything. It's like, I'm having a feeling, I have to control it. I'm having a thought, I have to control that.
Mhm.
You know, I have to control everything I'm doing and being and everything that everyone else is doing and being so that I survive and so that I'm happy. And that keeps us miserable.
Yeah, but a lot of people, I also see a lot of people, they really, it's like they don't have the time, they just have to
Mm,
function. So they cannot allow life force, energy, sadness running through them like hell. And that
yeah,
I also see quite often that this is also, it's, yeah, it can be a problem to just dive into
it's
that. And
yes. I think when Kundalini activates and you're not ready, which I
mm.
don't actually really think anyone's ready when it
Yeah,
happens.
right. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, no one's ready for this. It's like being ready for a tornado.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it can really do a number on you, I think. That's why, so many people end up in asylums or killing themselves or getting really sick because they don't have the time to process the energy. They don't understand what's happening,
Exactly.
which is why it's really good that you're raising awareness because,
Yeah.
you know, there's so many people out there that have no idea what's happening to them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's scary.
Yeah,
Like, it's
no,
very
I,
scary.
what I'm actually most afraid, well, and aware of is it's so difficult with what I, but what I like is, for me, this experience, it's not like you don't get much more spiritual or esoteric. It's you come very much down to earth and you're factual.
Hmm.
So, and for me, that, so there's the problem with that I see. Maybe there are a lot of people also in psych wards who didn't have a psychosis or
Mm,
schizophrenic. Maybe they just experienced a spiritual awakening. But
yeah.
still, I am very much into, well, there can be issues, like neurological issues. I'm not saying that everybody, should not take medication or whatever.
Mm,
Just maybe because we are still not linking spirituality into normal life, and that you can have
mm,
different states of consciousness. It's just not okay to have them in our Western world. So
mm,
if somebody experiences something like that, most of the time, first, the person herself or himself, they get afraid of it. They think, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I go
mhm,
crazy. And then fear kicks in, and then it gets dangerous, because then it can really happen that you you end up in a psychosis. Because what is difficult is to have like such a strong spiritual experience and to face it with fear. Then
mm.
it can become tricky. And yeah, so that's why I also want to spread awareness. Maybe there are people out there who, like me, actually, um psychiatrists, they would have told me that I had a psychotic episode, but it was a
Mm,
spiritual awakening. And
mm.
it's a very small shift, borderline.
It
And
is.
yeah,
It's
so
tough because, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. And,
mhm.
sometimes people do mistake psychosis for spiritual experiences as well, and vice versa. So
Yeah,
it's so
exactly.
many shades of grey. It's really challenging. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, I think the more people raise awareness, because I'm surprised by how little known Kundalini is still, considering there's been so many awakenings.
Yeah,
Because, I guess people still don't realize that's what's happened to them.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
mm,
And then
yeah, so we need
they
to kind of
they run
normalize.
to every doctor talking about their bodily symptoms, and nobody understands.
Oh,
So yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy. It's
because
crazy.
there's never anything wrong. Tests don't show anything.
Yeah.
It's just something that you have to go through because I guess, all of your cells are rewiring, your whole nervous system is rewiring, your
Mm,
brain is rewiring, it's getting rid of all the old neurons, and your cells are actually changing. They're filling up with light. So,
yeah.
there's huge physical changes going on.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it can be hard to tell, what is an actual medical problem and what is just Kundalini symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And it can take 10 tests to work it out. And yeah, but because I guess we tend to have a lot of gut issues because the gut brain is rewiring as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you get heart symptoms because the heart brain's rewiring, like the neurons all over your body are dying and being reborn. So it's
Yeah,
an epic process.
yeah, it is.
And yeah, it requires a lot of surrender and patience
Yeah.
and
So
self-care.
actually,
And
that then I come to my last question, which interests me also. I mean, like maybe you had also like really peak insights, or maybe you just kind of through the process started to feel a truth emerging for yourself. So what actually is it about? I mean, what is happening? Because I think there is a big, huge wave. A lot of people have a spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening, and but we are like it started slowly. Now it's gaining momentum, but
mm,
people still are not um, informed about it. So, but what do
mm.
you think? What is there a
So
truth?
what is Kundalini?
Yeah, and what for why is it happening right now that so many people kind of wake up? What would
Mm.
your explanation be?
Well, we had a ton of awakenings in 2020 because the world stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as soon as you just be, God can get in. It can just rush in because, as soon as your mind and your life stop, then you have the opportunity to return to your natural state, which is God, which is Kundalini.
Mm-hmm.
That's all Kundalini is who you really are. And that's a generalization because there are so many different aspects to God. I think I've discovered the definitive aspect of God and then I find another one. So, there's God, there's Shakti, there's probably infinite different aspects of God that you can discover. So it's endless, it's infinite. But, Shakti, I guess, is the goddess energy. She's the mother of God, really. She's the power behind God. She created God and the gods, and you know they created life as it is. So she's the first, essentially. But then I've seen some amazing things beyond her as well. I've seen things beyond God, beyond Shakti, beyond anything that the human brain can really hold. It's
Wow.
challenging. It goes on and on forever. So, God is the ultimate,
Uh-huh.
but, and, God created everything that exists, and we're all part of the body of God, but then God is part of another larger body, which is Shakti, and then Shakti is part of another larger body, and it just goes on and on into spheres that absolutely can't be described. So it really is endless. And so, but basically, the force that you come from is God. The force that God comes from is Shakti. So when Shakti awakens in you, you're ready to experience the core of who you are, which is, goddess energy and God energy. It's,
Yeah.
the divine feminine and the divine masculine um, comes into harmony within you. It's kind of like your soul coming back
Yeah.
because we get separated from that when we're little.
Mm.
That's why I had those childhood experiences, because I had nothing else going on at the time. I could just be pure joy and pure love and pure awareness. I could have those experiences, and a lot of kids do. but
Mm.
then they go to school and they get brainwashed out of it, or their family brainwashes them out of it as well, and
Absolutely.
everything brainwashes us out of what we are. It's you
Yeah.
know it's just our natural state. We are naturally God, we're naturally Shakti. So
Hmm.
um and yeah, so when Shakti awakens, it's to bring you back to that, to who you actually are, which is
But do you,
completely authentic.
so but why now? I mean, of course, it always happened, but I feel like there is
Mm,
a lot happening, and but still, in my process, I can only talk about myself. It's so funny how slowly feel that actually I am that. So I'm that force which tells the story over and over and over again. So actually I'm starting to even doubt that kind of, I don't know if you are with me, that actually every person has this experience that it's right now, that the world is waking. But I think this is since beginning of times every person experiences in her truth that, oh, it's now and it's
mm,
now.
mm.
And then this is also calling you to push through it and to, to stop thinking, oh, the outside world also is waking up with me. Just be
Yeah,
with yourself, and then of course as soon as you wake up, the whole world wakes up. It's strange. It's it's such an innate feeling of, yeah,
amazing, isn't
only
it?
I have to wake up, then the whole world wakes up. It's
Yeah,
kind of.
it's I think, there is probably a bigger awakening happening now than there has been for a very long time, but you're probably right. We've been awakening since the beginning of time. But I feel like it's maybe more important now that we do, because,
Mhm.
we need to wake up to the fact that, the way we're living is killing us and killing the planet,
Yeah.
and there's a better way, and we've got to do something about it. So maybe that's why so many awakenings are happening.
Hmm.
um, so that, because the only way that we can change the world is to change our consciousness and become self-aware, because, once you're aware of what you're doing, you can do better. So
Hmm.
maybe that's part of it, but I also see what you mean about, non-duality of, like, letting go of the concepts, even,
Mm.
um, even the concept of non-duality, because that's a concept. So, it's all just a concept and a label and something that our brain sticks on things so that it can understand it. But
Yeah.
yeah, Kundalini is about letting go of the mind completely, like
Hmm.
constantly free falling into, non-duality, or whatever you want to call it, of um, no concepts, no labels, no ideas, because they're all so limiting. They
Hmm.
get in the way of the truth, because the truth is infinite, it's divine. You can't label it. It doesn't have words. It,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
you you can't limit it to concepts. So yeah, the more we think about things, the more we are limiting ourselves.
Hmm.
That yeah, but we're so trained to think, and we're so trained into concepts to try and understand the world. It's it's hard to let go of.
So right now, how good are you in just letting life do what she needs to do?
I'm brilliant at it for about 5 minutes every day. And then something happens that is out of my control, and I freak out, and my
Yeah.
mind scurries to try and think, "How can I control this?"
But this
And
is
I'm way
also
back.
it but also this, I think it's so important for people to hear. I mean, you can experience stuff like that, even have a kundalini awakening, but still you are bound to what is happening on this planet, and you fall out of alignment so easily. you fall into doubt. I mean, it's crazy. Also, for me, what I was experiencing, you should come back and be absolutely sure, okay, this is how it goes, and I just have to let go. But as soon as you're back, you you're,
I know.
and it's okay. It's okay. And I think this is also, we have to make peace also with that, because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's about being with whatever shows up. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about trying to stay in or achieve any particular state. It's about,
Yeah.
a constant process of going, okay, so this is what is, and I accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And do I need to take action on it? Like, it's really that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's not that easy
Yeah.
because we're trained to resist everything. And,
Mm.
because that's our animal nature as well, because we're animals. That's another big realization that you come to with Kundalini, is accepting your animal nature. And because it's really coming back to nature. That's what, Kundalini Shakti is, because she is nature as well. So you find yourself blending with nature, and you find yourself understanding and accepting your animal self a lot more, because we're trained to resist that as well. We're trained to kind of fight everything about ourselves, whether it's the mind or our, animal nature, whether it's our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
this whole process is about, just bringing it all in for a hug. Like, just stop fighting it. It's just there. Like, you might as well embrace it and enjoy it and love it,
Yeah, but
because
this is also so funny, about words. It's exactly that phrase you just said about stop fighting it. Isn't it interesting that a long time you think, oh, I just should stop fighting it and then it's okay. That's not the point. It will come with the same force as before, but you accept it now that it comes with that force. And this
yeah,
is another surrender. It's not like you surrender and then nothing happens anymore. It's just that you
no,
surrender to the fact that you can be out of your mind angry sometimes. And, yeah.
yes,
So,
and that
yeah,
it's okay. Like,
exactly.
because
So deep.
emotions,
We have to
yeah,
start to feel everything very deep again. Like little
yeah,
children, when you don't get that chocolate, like cry out and be angry at the world. And
yes,
yeah.
yeah. There's so much anger, right? Like, I had no idea I had so much anger.
Yeah. Oh, so
And,
I have to wind it up slowly. So
yes, yes,
yeah, it was so nice talking to you. It's
it
amazing.
was great
Yeah,
to talk to someone who knows what it's all about.
exactly. For me, it gives me a lot, really, to hear the stories of other people, and
Same. Yeah.
also when somebody's listening and feels the same. So yeah,
Mm,
I can help.
it's validating, very validating.
Yeah. And
Mm.
yeah, now at the end, I of course wanted to ask you about your book. Maybe somebody's interested because you wrote a
Yes,
book.
I did.
Tell us short what it is about, and I will put a link then down at the
It
video.
That's it
Yeah,
there.
I love it. Ah, unicorn. Yeah, you scratch
I
get enlightened
I
now. Wow. Yeah.
probably, as you can see, it's very short.
Uh-huh.
Um, short and sweet, and it's probably the shortest guide to enlightenment you've ever read. And
I
it's
love it.
funny, and it takes, half an hour to read. And the foreword's by Danielle Mattel, who is a renowned meditation master and karate champion and amazing success, who is dedicated to bringing us all back to, heart consciousness, which
Mm.
is, it's what this is all about. It's where we belong, isn't it?
Oh, nice. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, I will definitely get that book. But you have
I'll
to
send you a free copy.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much. And
Yeah, thank you.
let's keep in touch. And
Let's
yeah,
do.
somebody has questions to Natasha,
Mm,
write in the comments. And
please do.
okay.
And yeah, if to anyone that's having a spiritual awakening or wishes to, like, much love.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, thank you so much for raising awareness about it, because we all need it.
Yeah. Yeah. We get
Mm,
we get that started now. Okay.
mm,
So
well done.
have a nice
Okay,
evening, Natasha, and let's stay
you
in.
too.
Mm,
Okay, much love. Thank you.
thank
Mwah.
you. Bye.